afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast. I'm your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda Hero of Sight, Defender of the Fatherland, he who brings you all the best content for Companies 2. We're off here till 1 vs 1 on Crossroads. I was about to say Crossing in the Woods there, but in the end I didn't. Actually, not meaning anyways. We got here in the north, Romeo Alpha Hotel. No, fun here though for the United States of America, freedom, the American dream, liberty. Taking on the role here of the 2nd Armoured Division, tasked with breaking through the German lines under the command here of Burmie. Finally for the Wehrmacht to Germany, Deutschland, taking on the role here of the 15th Panzergrenadier Division with the double Pioneer in 7042. Start could be a tier 2 rush here. We don't see them quite so often, but some players do still go for them. Romeo here with a much more conventional, just get a bunch of riflemen to start. Tank traps going up here, so obviously setting up there, sort of focused on setting up the battlefield ahead of time. We got here Spearhead, Lightning Wall, and Storm Doctrine with infantry, anti-tank, and bullets. Slightly less usual matchup there. I mean, Storm Doctrine does see use of some players, but Spearhead less, so it's more Lightning Wall. That's sort of the conventional choice there. Airborne, Armor, and Recon Support. Armor, again, very much the choice here, but Airborne and Recon Support, less usual choices with triple infantry there for Romeo. So both players there with the one very conventional doctoral choice, then two sort of less conventional ones. Sandbags going up here for Burmie, MD42 rush towards the center, Pioneers securing the area around it, ensuring there's nothing hit runs into initial issues. And there you go, rifle falling back as the Pioneers occupy the cover. They do not want to get close with those MP40s, those Schmeissers, as they were colloquially called. Those Schmeissers really had nothing to do with the MP40. They did have something to do with the previous versions of the submachine gun, like the MP24, which interesting enough was rather made by the Austrians and the Danes, and rather quickly fell under German control anyways, and would usually be handed out to second line units and stuff. Initially, like for example, the Waffen SS were initially not well equipped, and in fact had to make do with whatever they could get their hands on, usually second-hand equipment, or equipment from captured countries like Denmark or Austria. It's a little fun fact there. Also, Czechoslovakia. So there you go, center secured there with a bit of sandbags, MD42 remaining here. He could, by the way, consider some bar wide to make it harder, for example, for Romeo to rush it with, say, grenades, or just sort of move about it. And Pioneers moving up here, we got Rifle Squad moving up there, so 3 Rifle Squads out here for Romeo and the 2nd Infantry Division. We got Rifle moving up there and the Pioneers pushing their way. M1 Garand versus the MP40. If you can bait them into close range with the Pioneers, I mean, there's a chance that in this case they can just see them right through the massive haystack and that way get off some shots, so it doesn't quite work. Though, how they see through that massive haystack, I am less sure of. I'm guessing someone coded it just as a really, really big haystack and they were considering, that, true sight might need to apply to it. Just saying. But there you go, hitting the cuff one there. Nice work there by Burmie. MD42 on the western side. We've got triple MD42s, double Pioneers for Burmie. The more defensive version, I would say, of this sort of TT rush. Personally, I would go for the triple Pioneers in 10.42s. That way we can play it a bit more aggressively if we want to, because you got more eyes on the field and sort of more mobility. Whereas this one lacks a bit of that. I mean, you can try and play it aggressively, but it is obviously not without its risks. Tanging into the north here, the reactions of the Riflemen strike with fury, pushing back the Pioneers, defending their sacred, hallowed cut-off point from those damn dirty Nazis. In the south, MD40 defending the fuel point there. Obviously, with this many machine guns, you can afford to have one sort of guarding certain special spots. But of course, still needs to play one. I think at least bit more mobility. Otherwise, long term, he's just going to be ground down by Romeo. I mean, for Romeo here, one very obvious counter to this kind of stuff is just to go for a mortar. And in that regard, Burmie here needs to take up fast and bring out some infantry in zone. Usually, you want to get out a Panzergrenadier squad fast, maybe follow up with some light vehicles to support it. Romeo, they're just going for more riflemen there. Fun fact, the average rifle squad for the US Army, I think, was around 10 to 12 men. They would usually divide it into sort of 3 elements. You had the rifle element, which was usually about 6 to 8 men. Actually, I think 6, and then 7-ish. Can't quite fully remember it. Sometime I read about it. But then basically you had sort of the light machine gun team, which was usually one guy with a BAR and 2 support gunners. That was 3. And then usually the squad leader would be separated into a separate element as well. So that was sort of how they organized their fighting teams. Usually with the Germans, they would just separate their squads into 2 elements or fire teams. Usually there'd be what's sort of the regular grenadier team, and then there'd be one with a light machine gun for the sake of the regular grenadiers. Panzer Grenadiers would have 2 separate light machine gun teams, because they had 2 light machine guns, as a fun fact. MD42 they need to fall back. Telemancer being a team in this case has to quickly fall back. Romeo might have spotted that, but of course might not take more notice of. We got a 2-2 out here, so in this case, Burmie aiming for more aggression, or well, mobility in that sense. Wouldn't say more aggression, that would definitely be the Panzer Grenadiers, and generally you should get some infantry. Meanwhile, here 2-2 dealing with the rifle up close, the autocannon, the cracks machine gun there, tearing apart the Yankees in showers of blood, gore, and freedom. Pioneers being right his ball, the aim before 2, rifle almost hit by him. We also got an ambulance up here, so we can see Romeo is one of those few players who likes to place ambulance a bit more, you know, aggressively, a bit more sort of boldly in that regard, not just sort of stick it behind and sort of keep it, you know, hidden away. Romeo going for the captain, that could be, maybe he's actually planning a pack howitzer here, that way, you know, some artillery of the higher order with more range and the ability to fire white phosphorus at the enemy. That tends to be pretty good. No, he's just going for the regular mortar there. I think a pack howitzer could have been a really good choice. Better range, as I mentioned, very good lethality, plus the white phosphorus can also be quite useful down the road to softening up defences. But he's going for the mortar then. There might then be a Stewart instead, anti-tank guns, so a few options there for Romeo. And the second armoured. MD-42 them standing about. Rather than they getting blasted by the MD-42s or pressed as they get caught in a vicious, deadly cross while they're rather flanking about. They've got the 2 covering that as well. And no grenades here for Romeo, which makes it a lot hard for him to clear this up. But there you go, Captain with 1 bazooka. 2-2 following back, rather than they're being suppressed. And in the far west, we got an MD-42 covering up territory there. There's a slight gap here. Romeo is aware of this. You know, he can just try and flank through there. Mortify against the MD-42. That's going to force Burmie to fall back. He's going for the Pack 40. No sign of infantry yet there for Burmie. More is activating initial aggression there towards his opponent's fuel point, and that way leveraging his machine gun to look more aggressive map control alongside some infantry. Which basically means, you know, his TT rush is not going to quite able to, you know, exert it into something really greater, since it's just been more sort of a status quo thing. So Romeo is essentially also going to be in the situation that he needs to just push ahead for armor himself and maybe counter what Burmie is doing here. Just, you know, bring up more artillery. But no sign of take-off further for Burmie, no sign of infantry though, no Panzer Grenadier here, no attempt at an officer, well, I can't call that in actually, but you know, anything there. A back take to an infantry company and some grenadiers. Unfortunately, needs to get away to that, taking some heavy mortar fire here from Romeo's mortars, and again, he's making good use of that ambulance there, mate. More aggressive setup. Not wildly aggressive, but you know, it sort of supports his, you know, sort of current position better. And they're going 14 to fall back. Oh, too late there, and poor Ludwig falls out the window. Oh my god! And there you go, rifling there. And charging into the MD-42, hoping that courage, freedom, and democracy will see them through, and ultimately learning that versus 1200 rounds per minute, it doesn't. Rather than they're firing at the Pioneers, shots blasting away there, got Rearson sneaking up there on the other side. Loss of 1 MD-42 is going to hurt Burmie's map control. They're further centered now, being secured by Romeo and the 2nd Armoured, and we got Rearson there pushing up the eastern side. MD-42 towards the point here. And we got troops there reinforcing, Captain making his way back, hitting the fuel point there. And mortar fire straight on the MD-42 there. He's going to need to reposition that one before it's too late. We've got the 2 being repaired at the front line. Bit risky here for Burmie. Overall, you should probably pull it back there, in particular with a mortar about there, which only increases the chances of the Pioneers getting one as to repair the 2-2. MD-42 flanking of Rifleman. Burmie, you know, again, the lack of infantry is increasingly showing itself as, again, he can't support his machine guns very well. And there you go. Romeo is, I think, intentionally trying to block the retreat path of MD-42. Those Riflemen, you can do that. And it's certainly something some players view as rather dirty. Not sure if it's intentional or not, but it certainly worked. And the MD-42 got wiped there, which now means Burmie is in a very bad position. I mean, he's clearly going for tier 3. But as we can see, the tier 2 rush, without so any serious leverage in terms of infantry, rather stalled out and is now faltering in the face of Romeo, who's just got more stuff to counter just the current phase of it, which is just a lot of machine guns with a few Pioneers. So he's going to have to bring up some infantry soon before he can take up. And the problem is, Romeo here seems to be seeing through it, and of course is taking up really fast himself. But of course with a lot more infantry, which also gives Romeo a lot more initiative. And that is important. So we got the support core going up here for Burmie. I mean, again, it looks like he's trying to sort of tier 2 into tier 3 rush. That's definitely in a more high-risk sort of rush strategy to pull off. And again, you're sort of more likely to pull it off with a tier 1 into tier 3 rush because you actually get more infantry, which allows you to be more aggressive and deny your opponent more fuel. And that's generally sort of part of any tier 3 rush. You try to aim to deny your opponent fuel. Problem is, again, Burmie sort of aim just to hold half the map, but essentially not touch his opponent's fuel. So this sort of tier 3 rush has run into some issues. Also, particularly because we notice now between differences, there's 13 versus 38 fuel going on at the moment. There is a big fuel difference there, and that means Romeo can very quickly follow up with Sherman, whereas Burmie will not. So that is a bit of a dangerous situation. I mean, he does have telemines laid down here and there. He's getting a Pack 40. He's also getting Panzergrenadiers, which will help Burmie out, but still, not without its problems here. Not without its problems, not without its flaws. I'll have to see if Burmie can pull through, though. I mean, right now, Romeo has a sizable force, and I mean, population-wise, it's twice as big as what Burmie's got. And he is cruising for a Sherman bruising here, as he will be within moments able to call in a Sherman here. Minutes, not moments. Potentially a definition of moment, I guess. Grayson versus and Raffner versus the 2-2. Captain finding the rest of the Pioneers out in the open, pushed away there. The fires proved too much. Even the rank of captain is not impervious to the flames of the fatherland. Panzergrenadier here with Sturmgewehrs. Pioneers sneaking about there with the MP40s, and there you go. Raffner was back as they encountered the 2-2 supporting here the Panzergrenadier. Pioneers reinforcing some time before he can call in any kind of armor, securing the center victory point. Schnell for the Vaterland. And there you go, more Fort ambulance with machine gun there stolen, plus the mortar, further putting pressure there on Burmie, making it hard for him to control the center, as now it's more or less right next to Romeo's sort of forward fighting position or fighting point. With free healing, machine guns, mortars and whatnot. So this is going to be further a problem there for Burmie. He's going to need to do something about it. And it's going to be tricky because he is going to be behind on armor. Massively. Despite again his attempt at rushing it, the lack of an infantry component until this moment has rather hindered it. And there goes Sherman out for Romeo. His armor rush working out a lot better than Burmie's. Infantry coming up. Here's a Burmie knows he has to back tech, bring up some other elements. That's definitely not a bad idea. His rushes are overall, well, more or less failed, I would say, at this point. He's under severe pressure from Romeo as the second army here just launches itself at the 15th Panzergrenadier Division. He got this Sherman halfway done. He could actually use his captain to support it and push it out faster. That's definitely a missed opportunity for Romeo if he's not doing it. More mine goes off there. Does help Burmie slow down the aggressive advance of Romeo. One thing though he should be pretty fortunate about and happy about is that Romeo has not, well, he's gone for grenades actually, that's good, but there's no BARs, no bazookas, which does limit how much firepower Romeo can output while attacking. That's massive there for Burmie, by the way. I mean, Romeo is floating a ton of munitions here, and Burmie going here for some more regular grenadier. Quick on the cough on there. Romeo making good use of paths there, though he's not putting so much pressure on the right flank here. He could perhaps consider that. We got the Sherman out here for Romeo and the second armoured, the M4A3, 50 caliber on the way. Pioneers on the far there from the Sherman, MD42 doing some reasons out there, and there you go. Oh! Straight into the mine, heavy engine damage in the Pack 40 was waiting for its prey. Ooh, that's pretty bad luck there for Romeo. He clearly had underestimated Burmie's preparation in that regard. That does pay off for Burmie. Those telemines definitely paid off there. I'd certainly punished Romeo for never considering a minesweeper, despite A, there was one that went off on some of his riflemen, and two, he did actually see Burmie previously try to attempt mines here, so Romeo might have gotten a bit too overconfident versus Burmie, and he paid the price as Burmie was able to swiftly punish him for his, foolhardiness. Reeves being pinned down, units suffering some losses there, 2-2 went down, leaving Burmie without any vehicles. Now he's going for more Pioneers. No doctrine yet for Burmie. At this point, he could consider, I suppose, Lightning Ward just for relief infantry. That way, sort of flesh out his ranks. There were some cheaper troops. There you go. Romeo launching a volley of grenades, and the Pioneers could will likely get wiped out. We got also laying down mortar fire there against Romeo's forces, almost getting them in there. A lot of mortar fire just raining over that cold point. So much mortar fire. And Romeo can soon fill up with another Sherman. I mean, he's getting now 38 fuel per minute. That is a big difference, considering now Burmie's only getting 4 fuel. He's going for an Austrian now. Not what I'd recommend when, again, your opponent's getting so much more fuel than you. You should probably try to set up for the Panzerforce that can contest it better. Plus, of course, still deal with infantry pretty well. But it seems like Burmie is committed to the Austrian Flak Panzer. Setting up the Pack 4. This is to grab some territory. Just Burmie wants territory back here against Romeo. One thing that Romeo can do in active floating a bit of resources would be to actually lay down fighting positions here and there, to that way make it harder for Burmie to get back on the map. A few fighting positions that way could help him solidify control over vital points, and it will just make it a lot harder for Burmie to get back in the fight. But there we go, we got the Flak Panzer out here for Burmie and the 15th Panzer Grenadiers. There we go, opening up there, it's 37 flak, pushing back the captain. There we go, that's clockwork. I like clockwork, another mortar or Sherman out there for Romeo, but meanwhile though, the Austrian is going hard in here against Romeo. Tank through his machine gun, cut it out. Burmie hits to get it back, which would help a bit. There we go, white. Still no doctrine for Burmie though. Everybody rushing back. We got the captain in heavy cover ready to repel any German armor. Meanwhile, Burmie's just rushing out to seize as much as possible. Get back the machine gun. Stone walls crumbling there on the 37mm high explosive rounds, so they just tear apart the primitive masonry. But still, can't quite deal with captain sufficiently, and we got an anti-tank gun being airdropped here by Romeo just to sort of get it to the front line fast enough. Clearly, the Austrian did spook Romeo there to a degree. Need to cover with the Pioneers, close to getting wiped. Got out there possibly just in the nick of time, and we got the Sherman out here for Romeo, rolling down the main road. No 50 covers there. Rifleman recently charging forward to the Austrian. Austrian needs to fall back. Pack 40 is back at base, nowhere to be seen. And those Pioneers will not make it back there. And now we got a small S-mine field here. The crew needs to get out of the S-mine field. I mean, one hit from the opponent's mortar and that entire crew could get wiped. They seem to be actually getting some good hits there on the American mortar crew and whatever's nearby. There we go, landing some nasty hits. In this case, Romeo slightly forward position. He's going to be a bit vulnerable there to Burmese artillery. Hey Fritz, how do we know we're actually killing things? Or, you know, we have ferries to do that for us. Ferries? Yeah. They report things to us. So that's pretty handy. Yeah. Really handy. I still don't know how they got it to work, but we know how killing stuff is a mortar. We don't even need observers for it. Telemarks cover the flank here. Burmie certainly being very thorough in that department, which is good to see. Which is sehr good to see. Though, needs to be careful about placing against mortars close it, because the mortar is always going to attract counter-artillery fire. And in that regard, you generally don't want to place stuff that attracts fire next to other important things. If possible. Romeo still floating a ton of munitions. Could at least call in some paratroopers, maybe with some serious firepower. Good to go. We got the infantry sitting up here, rocking out in the open, getting blasted to bits. Got the Austrian rolling ahead again. Rather aggressively and boldly there were Burmie, was rather yet to go for the doctrine. We are closing on the 20-minute map, but there you go. Anti-tank and repulsors here, the Austrian. Burmie though does get away there without suffering too much damage, which is overall really good for Burmie. Losing the Austrian here could be really bad. Noting double pack 40s here. He's taking the armoured threat from Romeo quite seriously, which is definitely the right approach. Romeo can soon go for another Sherman though, which could land some serious pressure on Burmie if utilised correctly with the smoke screens. More grenadiers for Burmie. The Panzer grenadiers have been wiped. Annihilate, and there you go. Sherman straight from the minefield. We got the pack 40 setting up here. There you go. Lancer got hit down the Sherman, penetrating the I think roughly 60mm sloped armor. Not sloped by a lot though, which did minimize the efficiency of the slope. But there you go, Dogpack Forts run from the Sherman now. Oh dear, he needs to lay down the smoke. I just need to get out of there. Smokescreen could maybe help, but there you go, right, popping off grenades on the Pack 40s. Getting one of the Pack 40s, they're good, but the Sherman cannot move in since there's still one Pack 40. In theory, even with that little health there, the Austrian or a straight Panzerfaust could take it out. But he's doing some damage there with the Austrian Flak Panzer. And the losses of Romeo suffering because he's not laying down Smokescreen to cover up at least part of the advances there. Does delay the Sherman. So that actually gives Burmie more time to bring up counters to all of this. Because Romeo here is just sort of launching in aggressive assaults, but without really much cover or bigger sophistication, relying just on brute force and his larger numbers. And that, again, means he can't easily get out more Shermans, that way bring up even bigger numbers. So his tactics are perhaps landing himself in a potentially bit of hot water if he's not careful in, adjusting things. That mortar is definitely paying itself off. The 10 kills veterans to 3. German mortar crews were known for their skill, and in fact I think something like 2/3 of all casualties in Normandy were inflicted by mortars. Was it 1/3? But it was like some thirds there, like 1 or 2/3, I believe. Direct hit there on the Austrian by the anti-tank. We actually got very close there to Vetri 2. That's really great there for Burmie because if it hits Vetri 2, we get that high rate of fire, and that's just amazing. Horrifying though for the Allies. But oh dear, we got air support called in here. Might be what he was saying up his mission for the P-47 rocket strafe. And the Austrians too damaged here to deal with it. Oh, and the Austrian gets taken out. Oh dear. A quick strike here from the United States Air Force. Devastating. Burmese Austrian, which is almost 32 and would have been even better dealing with the aircraft had it been allowed to hit Veteran 2. So that was some auspicious timing there by Romeo. Had he done it any later, he would probably not be able to deal with it. Oh, but there you go. He stops up right in front of the telemine. Don't move any further, Carl. I've got a bad feeling about this. Don't move any further, Carl. Don't. Need my big assault here from the front. He's setting up the flank. There's smokes and go down the machine gun. Captain rushing forwards. Grenades off on the Pioneers. Pack repositioning. Moving out as well there. He can go for a Panther Force. You can actually try and call in his own stupid close air support, but there's only one Sherman out, so that'd be less efficient. Machine guns just remain to the smoke gun. Machine gun setting up. It is moving back here, trying to catch some of the flank and rear. And there you go. The Sherman ends up moving into the mine here. Carl bloody well did. There he goes, trying to repair it. He's trying to repair it. Mortar firing down the captain in the U-Mot. Still large force here, which could try and to move up behind him, catch off most of Romeo's forces, which are depleted. But there you go. M4 true crewed here by Romeo. Quite an intense fight. The real crew is pushed back. We can see that Romeo is making a run for the Sherman with his captain, and he can't quite will down the numbers there because if they would do that, they could have stolen the Sherman and turned it against Romeo, but instead Romeo does manage to grab the Sherman with the captain, get away. But Burmie's having none of that. If he can't have it, the Americans sure as hell won't, and he's setting up the Pack 40 behind the Sherman, and he destroys it. Taking out the Sherman, taking out the captain. That's quite a loss there for Romeo. And the second arm, but there you go, large angry mob charges forwards to avenge the loss of the Sherman tank. Burmie here could consider going for a Panther Fort, though of course he could also just try and set up the Tiger, though it would be more risky. Dickinson's victory points are slightly slipping away there. Romeo needs to go for more Shermans and just need to, try not to hit them into telemines because they turn out to be, pretty much the, the core reason for him losing his tanks, telemines. But at least he's gone for minesweepers now. We got heavy fighting over here, Smokescreen down. In the west, grenades being launched against riflemen. Romeo just keeps up the aggressive tactics. Mortars firing away there, and we got relief infantry there. Burmie, trying to relieve some of the pressure here by just calling in Austrians, so that way we need to push ahead to there and just accrue weapons as they're lost. So some rather intense fighting here between Romeo and Burmie. 40's good to go again there. Another Sherman for Romeo and the 2nd Armoured Division. Mortify against the Pioneers. And it is moving ahead here. Burmie, supported by relief infantry, is feeling a bit more confident. And lastly, tries to pressure Romeo more aggressively, knowing if he can that way get some troops out. Could try and pressure up more on the right flank of the Pioneers. The MD-42 is moving up the west flank with a Pack 40. In fact, he's coming up there, just trying to get as much territory back from Romeo. And we got the Panzer IV here for Burmie, sent in by nearby Panzer Division, the 21st Panzer Division. There you go, opening up here on the vehicle crew. Anti-tank gun bounces off the Panzer IV's 80mm of non-sloped armour. Second shot, the does the trick, but he wipes the anti-tank gun, leaving a lot of the infantry exposed while the mortar just continue to land down murderous shots here. 21 kills. That mortar is paying off big time here. Part of me would probably prioritise destroying the anti-tank gun first, but there you go, he lands a massive hit there. Wiping the mortar and almost wiping units out nearby as well there. That is definitely not bad there for the Panzer IV. The mortar itself gaining some more stuff there, though infantry support been great here as well, I think. And the 3rd Sherman out here for Romeo. 5th Caliber machine gun being added on top. Going for the center victory pump, but all of this still here. It's going to be difficult for Burmie to sort of grab and hold it for any longer period of time. And looks like he only got 1 squad of Ostrom out of all the munitions expended on that. Better than nothing though. But I imagine Burmie had higher hopes there for relieved infantry. I imagine he had much higher hopes. Pioneers hard to work there with the Panzer IV. Mortar just hammering away there, trying to silence the Yankees. Getting a few more kills there. 22 kills in service of Germany. Deutschland. We got Raffner getting awful close here. Got the Panzer moving forward there for Burmie. Need to be careful with it though. One wrong move and he could be deprived of a very vital asset for his front line, because without the Panzer IV he's in some deep scheisse. Almost got Raffner. There we go. More support called in. More support and tank rifle grenade. Leaves the Panzer IV with a damaged engine right in front of the P-47s. Rockets flying through the skies, trying to take out the Panzer IV. Some hit, some miss. Sherman anti-tank, they're going after the Panzer IV there. He's forced to crew the mortar, which got wiped by something. I'm guessing that could have been stray rockets or maybe a rifle squad moving up with a grenade. Either way, quite a loss there for Burmie, losing his veteran 3 mortar crew. That is a big loss. Got the anti-tank sitting up there. More P-47 rockets there flying against the Panzer IV. Misses. Right here, Rifle versus Grenadiers with rear support and nothing else to support the Grenadiers though. So in theory they could easily deal with them, but there's too much going on for Romeo over here, so he's not quite paying attention. Units being wiped out here. Losses being suffered excruciatingly there by Burmie. Pioneers killed. Rearsen's Rifle now hunting down. They got Ostrom digging with the Kenya from the crater's cut-off point. Sherman there attacking at the edge of the western base. Could perhaps open up there for Romeo beginning to charge into opponents. No, he might be just charging in there. He might try and get the Panzer IV. A base rush here. A base dive. As there's no negos, lay down smoke screens in case his anti-tanks like they. He really wants that Panzer IV dead. Charging forwards. Getting Grenadier there. Going forward, we got the Pack 4 setting up there. Panzer IV down to less than half health. Pack 40 setting up there. We got fighting over here. Raffner. Grenadiers, Ostrom all fighting together there. Oh dear, Panzer IV down to but there you go, Pack 4 jumping up. Down to half health there, Panzer first off. And the terrain there helps out a bit. Sherman misses, shoots too far. Or shoots too high. Either way, he might be able to lose the Sherman there. And the Sherman goes down without getting the Panzer IV. What are the odds? That was some rather weird fighting there. Another P-47 strafe going in there, both firing. Oh dear, Pioneers wiped, the Pack 40 got wiped, the Panzer IV survived though. But now Burmie's got nothing to repair his Panzer IV with. He's going to have to expend some manpower on that. Not sure what to make of that. Rifling force there for Romeo. Burmie's still very much in the defensive. He's really bleeding out here in victory points compared to Romeo. Romeo's trying to flank in, but he hold here with MD-42. Quick rifle grenade here from Burmie's stalwart Grenadiers. That was almost a full wipe there on the rifle squad. That would definitely been a win there for Burmie. I mean, whatever wipe he can land now is going to be quite helpful for him. Romeo, though, is still flowing a lot of fuel because overall his tactics does mean he struggles to get out more than one Sherman at a time, it seems. Though he can go for another Sherman now. The question is, will Romeo go for it now? I'm still surprised that the Romeo has not bothered upgrading his rifle from the BAR's bazookas. Could have helped him at times. Then there you go, another relief infantry from Burmie. Once more trying to relieve the lack of manpower and men he suffers at the front line here. He's up to see what works out for Burmie. No need to retreat those grenadiers. Unit got wiped somewhere. Looks like up here. The Ostrom bit the dust, but we got another Ostrom squad arriving here for Burmie, quickly making up for at least that one. Panzer IV being worked on. He could consider more pioneers, but it feels like Burmie's now trying to set aside for a Tiger tank, which, considering the state of the victory points on the map, might be a bit too ambitious here for Burmie. Might be a bit too ambitious. Another Ostrom squad here, so now Burmie does some more troops, and that means he can actually begin pushing more the left side. So you can afford to use the Ostrom for that, drawing away more, costly infantry to deal with the cheaper infantry, while then makes bigger gains wherever else he wants to. Sherman on the way for Romeo and the 2nd Armoured. Troops hard at work here, fixing up everything, and the Panzer IV is more or less good to go. Also close to Veteran 2, which is good news for Burmie, less good news for Romeo. More pioneers, more grenadiers, so he's clearly realised he can't just sit to wait for the Tiger there. He needs to push hard with as many troops as he can. Definitely the right decision there by Burmie. Makes him not trying to push up the west side here, but it's running into problems there as Romeo resists vigorously. So now we got 3 grenadiers, 2 Ostrom, 2 pioneers, 2 mortar, double pack fortress, 3 riflemen, the major, a vehicle crew, the rear slants, a machine gun, a mortar, and an anti-tank gun, plus a Sherman. Mortar taking losses, need to be careful about that. Go retreating. While Marvel close being dealt with, and we got a 3rd Ostrom squad out there for Burmie. So he's got 3 of them. That means he's got a definite sort of raw numerical advantage. Of course, the problem is the Ostrom don't cut it versus the infantry rifle. But then again, if you just use them to hit where the riflemen aren't, you just force them to have to send riflemen to deal with them. I mean, that would be a win in that sense for Burmie. Of course, he can then try and gain a local advantage elsewhere with the more experienced troops. Sherman versus the Panzer IV there. Grenadiers getting blasted by the Sherman, mortar firing down against machine gun here up east side. We've got Grenadiers and MD-42. In the west, we've got Ostrom charging into the riflemen, and forces being slightly pushed back. Good hit by these following the Sherman, second landing hit there as well. Could lose the Sherman here, and there goes Sherman goes down. Romeo perhaps a bit too confident here versus Burmie, and he reaps the punishment for that one as Burmie keeps up the assault. Ooh, shot bounced. But now he's pushing up everything there. Armor piercing, discarding sabre rounds, and take aim. In this case, the Panzer IV falls back. He's got the US Air Force now trying to take out. He really wants that Panzer IV dead. Yet that Panzer IV has survived an awful lot. An awful lot. Pioneers also moving in there. A lot of Yabos there, as the Germans would call it. Yak bombers. Normally the Germans take up counter tactics to minimize the effect of the Allied air dominance. That's a fun side note there. And there you go, pushing hard the west side there, grabbing territory. Those were primarily involved just moving at night, since obviously the air support wasn't quite so good at spotting them there. And I was just using terrain to obscure as well. But there he goes, making a big push. It might get the ambulance here. Gets it. Also gets a lot done. He wipes the mortar, utterly destroying Romeo's mortar support. But Romeo still in control of the center, still control the victory points here, which is definitely not good for Burmie, who's down to 36 victory points. Another ambulance for Romeo, but not enough arm support. Again, his infantry tactics with insufficient smoke support is costing him quite a lot, and it is preventing him from getting out in any serious armor roll here. Whereas Burmie seems now very much determined to get out a Tiger tank to support his Panzer IV, or have something for the Panzer IV to support, I suppose you could say in that case. There you go, second ambulance up for Romeo. They does have the medics here, which helps in some ways, but obviously doesn't allow him to reinforce the front line. So Burmie is getting more ability to control the map thanks to all the Ostrom. Got the Panzer IV attacking front line. And head on, could have flanked a bit at the very least, I would say. So just charging head on into where he knows the anti-tank gun is. Seems a bit... oh, confident. There you go. Got Stone Pack 4 as well. Being utilised against the Panther 4. Needs to fall back there. That Panther 4's not going to last much longer. More sacking head on. Hasn't recruited the mortar, which I believe he can. It's still there. Rifle wipes out the anti-tank as soon as it gets recruited here. Germans just keep pushing against the machine gun there. Medics charging forwards as well. Moving in with the pistols. There you go, taking hits from the Panzer IV. Down to one medic. One brave medic who keeps fighting and dies. 19 points left here for Burmie. It's going to be close. Going to be close. Machine gun crews taking losses. Grenadiers charging forwards. MB-42s laying down murderous fire. And there you go. Looks like the Panther 4's fine, up for flanking against Romy's positions. Mortar will still be a great choice, but now Burmie can call in the Tiger tank. And he goes for it. Could have gone a bit deeper flank, the baby blitzed in. Instead, he stops up, run from the anti-tank and start the fire. Takes a damaged engine. He needs to get behind the anti-tank as fast. He stays around too long in front of them. We got Veteran Fleet and the Panzer IV, though. Veteran Fleet. Yeah, he's going to lose it to the anti-tank gun, I fear. There we go, wiped. And they're going to tank rifle. That's going to be fine, and that's going to think, yeah, knock out the Panzer IV. Quite lost. They just managed to get to Ace. It survived so much else there, but ultimately could not survive Burmie. And his refusal to flank. Very deep. There you go, Tiger charging through here. Romeo's defences already worn down. Will struggle here with a massive Tiger tank and its 88mm gun and its many machine guns. And of course its 100mm of non-sloped armour. Machine gun there recruited here, but Romeo desperately holding on to anything that might prove victorious here. But the problem is, it's obviously not very... We got the medics just running from the ambulance. God damn it, we gotta get out of here quick. Yeah, get out of the ambulance. Yeah, we best get out of this automotive vehicle and run on our own. Obviously, the Tiger has much harder time killing the medics than the ambulance. So it sort of seems funny. He just abandons the ambulance. Normally, you don't see that. It's normally not the natural instinct for most players if the ambulance is being defended. And probably they just got crushed by the Tiger. Romeo at this point has lost most of his force, and the Tiger's just sort of more or less nailing it. You could actually steal the ambulance here, Burmie. That would be pretty fun. That would be pretty fun. Fort point now being established east. Romeo still has faith in victory. He's going for Jackson there. I mean, his opponent's down to 19 victory points, so if Romeo plays his cards correctly, he might still be able to pull something off, but it's going to be really difficult, in particular since Burmie is mining and defending the points there, which is something that Romeo never quite did. There's no fighting position, anything to actually defend any of these victory points, make it a bit, harder for Burmie to take back. Whereas Burmie's got a Tiger covering one of them, and he's got S-Mines covering the other, plus German infantry. Does have the Jackson, but can he pull through there? Can he pull through? Wrecking the anti-tank and deny them to Romeo. Very wise shot. There we got the Major charging forwards. Not entirely sure why he's charging forward, and I'm sure he doesn't know it himself. The Major's job is not to get in there first. Jackson the landing so good, hits on the Tiger, penetrating the frontal armour. Tiger misses the Jackson. Another hit there. Machine gun's just covering some pass, actually holding back most of Romeo's infantry. Got the Grenadiers, Austrian and Ford to secure the Pack 40 here. Machine gun wiped by the medics and the re-echelons there. Panzer Faust attempt, didn't work off. Troop charging forward to the Tiger. Pack 40 moving in, moving back. Victory points being secured though, and victory points being defended zealously in service of Germany. Closing in and veteran on the Tiger. Got another ambulance on the way for Romeo. Another ambulance. That's going to be his third ambulance here. Tiger moves ahead, almost getting the rifle in there. Down to 19 points still. Troops healing, reinforcing. And soon go for more armor to support his Tiger tank. In fact, there we go. We got a Panzer IV on the way for Burmie. And the 15th Panzer Grenadiers. Machine gun securing the point there. Shot almost got the medic there. 2 kills on the medics. I'm sure there'll be someone in the comments asking why medics can't get veterancy. Panzer on the way there for Burmie. Almost done. Romeo's chance of pulling this through, though, looking increasingly grim. He's just simply suffered too much and bleed himself out too much to connect to utilize his fuel more efficiently. And now Burmie on the hand's got a much more solid force, and he's not quite wasting as much infantry, meaning you can all preserve more manpower and thusly get out more armor. Straight into the Tiger covered position there. 80mm of death, pulping the Americans as they valorously move forward. And there you go, Pack 4 lands got a hit there on the Jackson. Tiger takes a hit there. Panzer 4 moving in though. Ostrom carrying the flank there. There we go, that's going to be it for the Jackson. And we got Gunners moving with the Panzer 4 from the other side. And there you go, Jackson is down with this. Romeo's down. A loss here for the 2nd Armoured Division, a victory for the 15th Panzergrenadier Division, a victory for Germany. Germany triumphs. So a brutal battle here, right here on Crossroads. With a lot of back and forth, a lot of control there initially for Romeo. Again, he was able to get a good sort of punch in there versus Burmese. You know, tier 2 rush, but again, the lack of entry there for Burmese also made it a lot easier. The problem for Romeo was how he handled his infantry as the game went on. There no upgrades, not enough smoke, suffering huge losses, which prevented him from getting more than one tank out at a time, which really then minimized how much effect you could have. Then that tank dive there didn't quite work out for him either. He also never got minesweepers until it was too late, losing him several tanks as well. In that regard, Burmie, though, was very thorough with his mines, and that really gave Burmie a lot more breathing space to that row against Romeo. Without those mines, he would have lost. So that definitely paid off, a big deal there. And then Romeo just struggled as he kept throwing away tank after tank, losing tank after tank, while also being bled out, meaning he could never get more than one tank at a time, and then not reach critical mass, which allowed Burns to then slowly get back onto the field and slowly wear down Romeo, in particular, you know, once his Panzer IV built up veterancy. Tossed in the Tiger, and at that point it was more or less, you know, game over for Romeo, as his forces just were too worn out by that point. And again, he just kept building up a fuel hump, but wasn't able to, you know, use it because he was now increasingly more spending manpower to keep up his troops, because Burmie just kept attacking more and more. So it sort of became a bad negative spiral there for Romeo, which allowed, you know, Burmie then to win the game. But, you know, again, still very risky to 2-3 rush there. Definitely should have gone for more infantry initially as fast as possible, I think, to make it work properly, though. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe to your friends. Share it with everyone. If not, send in a replay and practice and feedback in the comment section. A big thanks to all my Patreon supporters, with which this episode would not have been possible. If you'd like to support me, links on the video description. And that will certainly be quite helpful. Patreon or PayPal either helps me out a ton, so do consider. This is Imperial Linking. Cheers. Thank you for watching. Hope you're all tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye.